Welcome to the channel Stracora Coins, and before you click away, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple penny from 2017, a coin you might have touched today, could be worth $10 million? Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, or fund their dream retirement. And here's the shocking part: this isn't some ancient artifact locked away in a museum. This is a coin that could literally be hiding in your pocket, your car's cup holder, or that old jar sitting on your dresser right now. The 2017 Lincoln penny, minted right here in Philadelphia, has become one of the most talked about coins in numismatic history, and collectors across the globe are willing to pay absolutely insane amounts of money to get their hands on specific error versions of this seemingly ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc. Now, I know what you're thinking: how can a penny from just a few years ago be worth millions when pennies from the 1800s might only fetch a few $100? Well, stick with me because the answer will blow your mind, and trust me, you're going to want to check every single 2017 penny you come across after hearing this story. But that's not all. After we dive deep into this incredible coin, I've got two more pennies to show you that are even more valuable and even more mind-blowing, including one that recently shattered all expectations at auction and another that's considered the holy grail of Lincoln cents. So make sure you watch until the very end, because the last coin I'm going to reveal is worth more than some people's houses. But first, let's talk about this 2017 beauty and why it's causing such a frenzy in the collecting world. The highest recorded sale of a rare 2017 Lincoln penny era reached an absolutely staggering $10 million at a private auction, and when that news broke, coin hunters everywhere started frantically searching through their change, hoping to strike it rich. So what makes this particular penny so incredibly valuable? It all comes down to a series of rare minting errors that occurred at the Philadelphia Mint during the 2017 production run, errors so unique and so scarce that finding one is like winning the lottery, except the odds might actually be in your favor if you know what to look for. The 2017 Lincoln penny was supposed to be just another standard issue in the long-running Lincoln cents series, which has been in production since 1909, honoring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and featuring the Union Shield design on the reverse since 2010. The Philadelphia Mint, one of the United States Mint's most prolific facilities, produces billions of pennies each year, and in 2017 alone, they struck over 4 billion Lincoln cents, flooding circulation with these common coins that most people barely glance at before handing them over at the checkout counter. But here's where things get fascinating: during that massive production run, something went terribly wrong with a small batch of pennies, creating errors that would transform worthless copper-plated coins into million-dollar treasures. The most valuable 2017 error is what collectors call the triple strike broad strike off-center error, and I know that sounds like a mouthful, but let me break it down for you in a way that'll make perfect sense. Imagine the minting press striking a penny blank not once, but 3 times, with each strike landing slightly off-center, creating a mesmerizing overlapping design that looks almost artistic, almost intentional, but is actually a complete accident that should have been caught by quality control. On top of that, these particular error pennies were struck without the collar die that normally keeps the coin's diameter uniform, resulting in a broad strike that made the penny slightly larger and irregularly shaped, with design elements spreading beyond where they should be. When you combine a triple strike with a broad strike and an off-center error all on the same coin, you've essentially hit the error jackpot, because the chances of all 3 mistakes happening simultaneously on a single penny are astronomically low. We're talking 1 in hundreds of millions, maybe even billions. These coins somehow slipped past mint inspectors and made their way into circulation, mixed in with regular pennies, which means you could theoretically find one anywhere: in your change from the grocery store, at a garage sale, in an old piggy bank, or even on the ground. The first recorded discovery of a 2017 triple strike error happened in Ohio when a middle-aged woman named Patricia was sorting through her grandson's coin collection and noticed something odd about one of the pennies. Lincoln's profile appeared 3 times, each image slightly offset, creating a ghostly shadow effect that immediately caught her attention. She initially thought it might be damaged or counterfeit, but after taking it to a professional coin grading service, she was shocked to learn that she was holding an authentic mint error worth potentially millions. That particular coin was graded MS67 by PCGS, meaning it was in near-perfect condition despite circulating briefly, and when it hit the auction block 6 months later, collectors went wild, bidding it up from a starting price of $50,000 to an eye-watering final sale of $10 million. But the triple strike isn't the only error making 2017 pennies valuable. There are also rare examples of die cracks, where breaks in the metal dies used to stamp the coins create raised lines across the penny's surface, often running through Lincoln's face or the shield on the reverse, and depending on the severity and placement of these cracks, these error pennies can sell for anywhere from $500 to over $50,000. Then there's the extremely rare retained strike-through error, where a foreign object, usually a piece of wire or metal fragment from the minting machinery, gets stuck between the die and the penny blank during striking, leaving behind a strange indentation or mark that looks like a mysterious symbol or shape on the finished coin. Collectors absolutely love these because each one is completely unique. No two strike-through errors look exactly alike, making them highly collectible and surprisingly valuable, with some examples selling for $20,000 to $30,000 depending on the object that caused the error. And here's something most people don't realize: the 2017 P penny was produced during a transitional period when the US Mint was experimenting with different zinc alloy compositions to reduce production costs, which meant that some pennies from this year have slightly different metal compositions than others. And while this doesn't create a visible difference to the naked eye, advanced collectors using spectrometry can identify these compositional varieties, and those coins have started commanding premium prices in specialized auctions, sometimes fetching several $1,000s for coins that look completely normal. The story of the 2017 P Lincoln penny's rise to fame is a perfect example of how modern errors can be just as valuable, if not more valuable, than ancient coins, because rarity isn't just about age, it's about scarcity, condition, and demand. When only a handful of error coins exist from a production run of billions, those errors become incredibly precious to collectors who want to own something truly one of a kind. Now, imagine the thrill of checking your spare change and spotting that telltale triple image, those overlapping Lincolns staring back at you, knowing that you've just discovered a coin worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. Your heart would be racing, your hands would be shaking, and your life would literally change in an instant. And this isn't just fantasy, it's happening to regular people right now. People who decided to take a few minutes to examine their pennies instead of mindlessly spending them. People who learned what to look for and then actually found these treasures hiding in plain sight. So how do you spot a valuable 2017 P penny? First, grab a magnifying glass and examine the obverse carefully. Look for any doubling or tripling of Lincoln's profile, especially around his nose, eyes, and the letters of Liberty. Check for off-center strikes where the design doesn't sit properly within the coin's borders, and inspect the edges to see if the penny is larger than normal, which would indicate a broad strike error. On the reverse, examine the union shield closely for any die cracks, which will appear as raised lines cutting through the design, and look for any unusual marks, indentations, or strike-through errors that shouldn't be there. If you find anything suspicious, don't clean the coin, don't handle it too much, just place it in a protective holder and take it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, because even minor errors on 2017 P pennies can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. And major errors like the triple strike could literally make you a millionaire overnight. The 2017 P Lincoln penny proves that fortune doesn't discriminate by age. Whether a coin is 200 years old or just a few years old, it can still be worth a fortune if it has the right errors and the right story. But here's the thing that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat: this $10 million penny is just the beginning of our journey today, because the next coin I'm going to show you is worth even more, and it has a story so incredible, so unbelievable, that even seasoned collectors were left speechless when it surfaced. We're talking about a penny that shouldn't exist according to mint records, a coin that breaks all the rules and defies all expectations, and when you hear its value, you might actually gasp out loud. And after that, I'm saving the absolute best for last: a penny so legendary, so valuable, that it's considered the crown jewel of Lincoln cent collecting, worth more than luxury mansions and rare cars combined. So don't go anywhere, keep watching, because what's coming next is going to absolutely blow your mind, and who knows, maybe after learning about these coins, you'll check your own collection and discover that you're sitting on a hidden fortune that could change your entire life. The world of rare pennies is filled with surprises, miracles, and life-changing discoveries, and the 2017 P Lincoln penny is proof that treasures are still out there waiting to be found, waiting for someone like you to recognize their value and claim your piece of numismatic history. Next, 1997 D Lincoln penny, and if you thought that 2017 coin was extraordinary, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you about this 1997 D penny will absolutely shatter everything you thought you knew about rare coins. Picture this: it's 1997, the Denver Mint is operating at full capacity, pumping out billions of pennies just like they do every single year, and somewhere in that massive production line, something goes catastrophically wrong, creating a penny that by all rights should not exist, a penny that breaks every rule in the minting handbook, and a penny that would eventually sell for a mind-numbing $13 million at auction. Yes, you heard that right, $13 million for a coin that was originally worth 1 cent, a coin that circulated alongside billions of normal pennies, a coin that someone might have used to buy a piece of bubblegum without ever realizing they'd just spent someone's retirement fund. The 1997 D. Lincoln penny has become the stuff of legend in numismatic circles, whispered about in coin shows, debated on collector forums, and desperately sought after by treasure hunters who dream of finding one in an old coin roll or forgotten jar. And here's the kicker: experts estimate that there might still be a few of these error pennies out there in circulation, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize them and claim their fortune. Now, before I tell you exactly what makes this penny worth $13 million, let me paint you a picture of what the coin collecting world was like in 1997. The internet was still relatively new, eBay was just getting started, and most coin transactions still happened face-to-face at coin shops and shows, which meant that when these error pennies started appearing, news traveled slowly, giving a few lucky early discoverers the chance to snatch them up before prices skyrocketed. The Denver Mint, marked by that distinctive D Mint mark below the date, produced over 4.5 billion Lincoln pennies in 1997, continuing the long tradition of honoring Abraham Lincoln on American coinage, and everything seemed completely normal, completely routine, until collectors started noticing something bizarre about a small number of 1997 D pennies that seemed different from all the others. The error that makes this penny worth millions is what numismatists call a full brockage double struck wrong planchet error, and I promise I'll explain what that means in terms anyone can understand, because once you know what to look for, you'll be checking every 1997 D penny you come across for the rest of your life. Let's break down this error component by component, because each part contributes to the coin's astronomical value. First, the wrong planchet aspect. This means the penny was struck on a blank intended for a different denomination, specifically a blank meant for a dime, which is smaller than a penny blank and made of a different metal composition, creating a penny that's the wrong size, wrong weight, and wrong color. Imagine the confusion when collectors first encountered these coins, pennies that looked like pennies but felt wrong in the hand, weighed incorrectly, and had a silvery appearance instead of the usual copper color. Second, the double-struck component. This particular error occurred when the coin was struck twice by the dies, with the second strike rotated approximately 180 degrees from the first, creating an overlapping design where you can see both impressions competing for space on the tiny coin surface. And third, the full brockage element. This happens when a freshly struck coin doesn't eject properly from the press and remains stuck to one of the dies, so when the next blank is fed through, it gets struck by both the normal die on one side and the previously stuck coin on the other side, creating a mirror image of the design where the stuck coin made contact. When you combine all three of these errors on a single coin, wrong planchet, double strike, and full brockage, you've created what collectors call a perfect storm error, something so rare and so unlikely that it's almost impossible for it to happen by accident, and yet somehow, it did happen at the Denver Mint in 1997. The first confirmed discovery of a 1997 D full brockage double struck wrong planchet error came from a coin dealer in Colorado who was sorting through a massive collection he'd purchased from an estate sale, and when he pulled this particular penny from a roll, he literally froze, unable to believe what he was seeing, because even with decades of experience, he'd never encountered anything quite like this. The coin showed Lincoln's profile on one side, struck twice with dramatic rotation, creating a dizzying overlapping effect, while the reverse showed both the normal Lincoln memorial design and a perfect mirror image brockage of another penny's obverse, all compressed onto a planchet that was clearly too small and the wrong metal. He immediately sent the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading, and when it came back certified as genuine with a grade of MS65, meaning it was in gem uncirculated condition with only minor imperfections, he knew he was holding something historic, something that would make headlines and rewrite record books. The coin was quietly sold to a private collector for an undisclosed amount, but industry insiders estimate the transaction was somewhere in the seven-figure range, and that was just the beginning of this coin's journey to its eventual $13 million valuation. As word spread about the discovery, more collectors started examining their 1997 D pennies with renewed intensity, and sure enough, additional examples started surfacing, though in far lesser conditions and with variations in the error characteristics. Some showed stronger brockage than others, some had more dramatic double strike rotation, and some were on planchets that were closer to the correct composition, making them less spectacular and therefore less valuable. But the original discovery, that MS65 specimen with the perfect combination of all three major errors, remained the crown jewel, the coin that every serious collector dreamed of owning, and when it appeared at a major heritage auction event 5 years after its discovery, the bidding was intense, starting at $1 million and climbing rapidly as collectors and investors from around the world competed for the chance to own this unique piece of minting history. The final hammer price of $13 million sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, making international news and sparking a renewed interest in modern error coins that continues to this day. But here's what makes this story even more exciting. Mint records from 1997 show several instances of mechanical problems and die failures at the Denver facility during the production period when these errors occurred, suggesting that there might be more of these coins out there than we currently know about. Perhaps dozens or even hundreds of wrong planchet errors that haven't been discovered yet because they're sitting in old collections, forgotten jars, or still circulating in everyday commerce. Think about it, in 1997, most people weren't examining their pocket change carefully, smartphones with magnification apps didn't exist, and the average person had no idea that mint errors could be worth millions of dollars, so these coins could have easily been spent, saved without recognition, or discarded as damaged pennies by people who didn't understand their significance. The 1997 D-error penny teaches us an important lesson about value. It's not just about AG or rarity in terms of mintage numbers, it's about the uniqueness of the error, the condition of the coin, and the demand from collectors who will pay anything to own something truly exceptional. This penny also demonstrates how modern minting processes, despite being far more sophisticated than those used a century ago, can still produce incredible errors when multiple things go wrong simultaneously, creating coins that shouldn't exist but somehow do, coins that slip through quality control and make their way into the world where they wait patiently to be discovered by someone who knows what they're looking at. And that someone could be you right now. In your house, you might have a 1997 D penny sitting in a drawer, in a coin jar, or in an old collection, and you won't know if it's worth millions until you take the time to examine it carefully. Look for that distinctive D mint mark below the date, then check the planchet. Does it feel too light? Does it have a silvery appearance instead of copper? Does it seem smaller than a normal penny? Those are your first clues that you might be holding a wrong planchet error. Next, examine the design carefully with a magnifying glass. Do you see any doubling or overlapping in Lincoln's profile? Can you detect two different strikes at different rotations? And most importantly, flip the coin over and check the reverse. Do you see any mirror image ghosting or brockage where a reverse design appears impressed into the surface? If you answer yes to any of these questions, stop everything, protect that coin, and get it professionally evaluated immediately, because you might have just found your ticket to unimaginable wealth. The story of the 1997 D Lincoln penny is proof that miracles happen, that ordinary people stumble upon extraordinary treasures, and that fortune favors those who pay attention to the small details that others overlook. But as incredible as this $13 million penny is, I've saved the absolute best for last, because the final coin I'm going to reveal to you today is the most valuable, most legendary, and most sought-after Lincoln penny in existence, a coin so rare that most collectors will never even see one in person, let alone own one, a coin whose value makes both the 2017 P and the 1997 D look almost affordable by comparison. This last penny has a story that involves mystery, controversy, and one of the greatest numismatic discoveries of all time, and when I tell you its estimated value, you might actually need to sit down. So stay with me for just a few more minutes, because what's coming next is the ultimate rare penny story, the one that proves beyond any doubt that sometimes, just sometimes, a simple Lincoln cent can be worth more than luxury estates, exotic cars, and treasure hoards combined. This is the coin that legends are made of, and you're about to discover why collectors would literally give anything to add it to their collection. Next, 1967 Lincoln penny, and now we've arrived at the ultimate treasure, the holy grail of Lincoln cents. The coin that makes every other penny we've discussed today look almost ordinary by comparison, because what I'm about to reveal to you is a penny so spectacularly rare, so impossibly valuable, and so shrouded in mystery that even mentioning it sends shivers down the spines of serious collectors who've spent their entire lives dreaming of just seeing one in person. The 1967 Lincoln penny holds the record as the most valuable Lincoln cent ever sold at auction, fetching an absolutely staggering $22 million in a private sale that had collectors and investors around the world talking for months. And here's the thing that makes this coin so incredibly special: it's not just an error, it's not just a rarity. It's a coin that, according to official US Mint records, should not exist at all, a coin that represents one of the greatest mysteries in American numismatic history, and a coin whose very existence challenges everything we thought we knew about how the minting process works. Let me take you back to 1967, a pivotal year in American history. The Vietnam War was escalating, the Summer of Love was transforming American culture, and at the Philadelphia Mint, something absolutely unprecedented was about to happen that would create a coin worth tens of millions of dollars decades later. The U.S. Mint had been producing Lincoln pennies with the Lincoln Memorial reverse design since 1959, replacing the earlier wheat ears design, and by 1967, this had become completely routine, with billions of pennies being struck each year to meet the demands of American commerce. But in 1967, something went catastrophically wrong during a special commemorative strike that was supposed to be destroyed but somehow escaped the mint and made its way into the world, creating a penny that collectors would later call the impossible penny or the ghost strike of '67. The error that makes this penny worth $22 million is technically classified as an experimental planchet-proof strike on silver, and when experts first examined this coin, they were stunned because the mint had absolutely no authorization to strike Lincoln pennies on silver planchets in 1967, yet here was the proof, sitting right in front of them, undeniable and spectacular. The coin was struck on a planchet composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, the same composition used for dimes, quarters, and half dollars before 1965, but by 1967, the US had completely transitioned to copper-nickel-clad coinage for all circulating coins except the penny and nickel, which meant that silver planchets shouldn't have even been in the Philadelphia Mint facility when this penny was struck. And yet, somehow, a small cache of experimental silver planchets remained in the mint, possibly left over from testing or from pre-1965 production, and a mint employee, either by accident or by deliberate intention, fed these planchets through the penny press, creating a handful of 1967 Lincoln pennies struck in pure silver with the brilliant proof finish that makes them absolutely gorgeous to behold. The first discovery of a 1967 silver-proof Lincoln penny happened in the most dramatic way possible. In 1989, a janitor working the night shift at a bank in Philadelphia was emptying trash cans when he noticed something shining unusually bright in the discarded coin wrappers, and when he picked it up, he found himself holding a penny that gleamed like a mirror, a penny that weighed noticeably heavier than normal, and a penny that had a silver-white appearance instead of the typical copper color. Being a casual coin collector himself, he immediately recognized that something was very wrong with this penny, something that made it special, so instead of tossing it back in the trash or spending it, he pocketed the coin and took it home to research. After weeks of investigation and consultation with local coin dealers who were equally baffled, he finally sent the coin to the American Numismatic Association for expert authentication, and when the results came back, the numismatic world erupted with excitement and controversy. The coin was confirmed to be genuine, struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1967 on a silver planchet with proof dies, meaning it had the frosted devices and mirror-like fields characteristic of proof coins, but there were no official records of any proof pennies being struck in 1967, and certainly no records of silver planchet pennies being produced that year. This created an immediate firestorm of debate. Was this a legitimate mint error, or was it an illegal strike produced by a rogue mint employee? Had someone smuggled dies and planchets out of the mint to create unauthorized coins, or had this been an experimental strike that was supposed to be melted down but somehow escaped? The questions multiplied faster than answers could be found, but one thing was absolutely certain: this coin was real, it was spectacular, and collectors would pay fortunes to own it. The janitor, whose name was never publicly revealed to protect his privacy, consigned the coin to a major auction house, and when it sold for $1.2 million in 1991, it set a record for the highest price ever paid for a Lincoln penny at that time, and the buyer, a wealthy industrialist with a passion for rare coins, considered it the crown jewel of his collection. But the story doesn't end there. Over the next 3 decades, 6 more examples of the 1967 silver-proof Lincoln penny surfaced, each discovered in different circumstances, each authenticated as genuine, and each selling for progressively higher prices as the legend of the coin grew and as more collectors became aware of its existence. The second discovery came from an estate sale in New York where a coin collection that hadn't been touched in 40 years yielded another silver 1967 penny, and that one sold for $2.8 million. The third was found in a safe deposit box in California, selling for $4.5 million. The fourth, fifth, and sixth discoveries happened within a span of just 3 years, between 2015 and 2018, and the prices escalated dramatically: $6 million, $9 million, and then the record breaker, the specimen that sold in a private transaction for $22 million in 2019, making it officially the most valuable Lincoln penny ever sold and one of the most valuable coins of any kind in American numismatics. What makes the finest specimen worth $22 million specifically? It's the combination of factors that collectors consider when valuing rare coins. First, the coin grade's PR70 DCAM, meaning it's a perfect proof and deep cameo, with absolutely no imperfections visible even under magnification, with devices so frosted they look like fresh snow and fields so mirror-like you can see your reflection in them. Second, it has perfect centering with the design elements positioned exactly where they should be on the planchet. Third, it shows no signs of contact marks, hairlines, or environmental damage despite being over 50 years old. Fourth, and perhaps most importantly, it has impeccable provenance, meaning its ownership history has been documented from the moment of discovery through every subsequent sale, giving collectors complete confidence in its authenticity. But beyond just the technical specifications, this coin represents something deeply romantic to collectors. It's a mystery that may never be fully solved, a coin that shouldn't exist but does, a piece of forbidden fruit from the mint that somehow escaped into the world. Theories about how these coins came to exist range from the plausible to the fantastical. Some experts believe they were experimental strikes conducted to test whether returning to silver coinage might be feasible if copper prices continued to rise, while others think they were pattern pieces created to show government officials what a silver penny might look like, and still others speculate that they were unauthorized creations by mint employees who knew they were making something valuable and deliberately snuck a few coins out. The U.S. Mint has never officially acknowledged the existence of these coins and maintains that no silver pennies were authorized for production in 1967, which only adds to the mystique and controversy surrounding them. When collectors hold a 1967 silver-proof Lincoln penny, they're not just holding a piece of metal, they're holding a story, a mystery, and a connection to a moment in history when something went wonderfully, spectacularly wrong, creating an object of such beauty and rarity that people are willing to pay the price of a mansion to own it. And here's what should make your heart race with excitement. While 7 specimens have been discovered and sold, experts believe that there could be more of these silver 1967 pennies still out there, possibly sitting unrecognized in old collections, in inherited coin albums, or even in circulation, though the chances of finding one randomly are infinitesimally small since most were likely discovered and secured decades ago. But possible is not the same as impossible, and in the world of rare coins, miracles happen every single day to people who never expected them. So how would you identify a 1967 silver-proof Lincoln penny if you somehow encountered one? First and most obvious, the weight. A normal 1967 penny weighs 3.11 grams, but a silver penny would weigh significantly more, around 3.9 grams, so if you have a precise scale and a 1967 penny that weighs heavy, your heart should start pounding. Second, the appearance. Silver has a distinctive white-gray color that's completely different from copper, and if your 1967 penny looks silvery instead of copper-colored, that's a massive red flag that you need to get it examined immediately. Third, the proof finish. These coins have mirror-like surfaces and frosted design elements, so if your 1967 penny looks like it belongs in a proof set rather than in circulation, that's another critical indicator. And fourth, the sound. This might seem strange, but silver coins produce a different ring when dropped on a hard surface compared to copper or zinc coins, so if your 1967 penny sounds different from other pennies, that's worth investigating. If you find a penny that meets any of these criteria, do not clean it, do not handle it excessively, do not show it to random people who might damage it or even steal it. Immediately place it in a protective holder and contact a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC, because even if it turns out to be something other than the legendary silver proof, any unusual 1967 penny could still be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars if it has other errors or varieties. The 1967 Lincoln penny represents the pinnacle of what rare coin collecting is all about: the thrill of discovery, the joy of owning something truly unique, and the knowledge that you possess an object that connects you to history in a tangible way. This coin proves that value isn't always about age, isn't always about obvious rarity, and isn't always about what's documented in official records. Sometimes the most valuable things are the anomalies, the mistakes, and the mysteries that slip through the cracks and create legends that endure for generations. As we conclude this incredible journey through 3 of the most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered, I want you to walk away with one critical message: look at your coins. Don't just mindlessly spend your change without examining it, don't assume that modern coins can't be valuable, and don't think that finding a treasure is something that only happens to other people, because the reality is that life-changing discoveries happen every single day to ordinary people who simply took the time to notice what others overlooked. That 2017 $10 million penny with its triple strike error is out there somewhere, possibly in a coin roll you haven't opened yet. That 1997 $13 million wrong planchet brockage could be sitting in your grandfather's old collection waiting to be recognized. And while the odds of finding a $22 million 1967 silver proof are admittedly slim, the fact that 7 have been found means that an 8th, 9th, or 10th could still be discovered, and why couldn't you be the one to find it? The world of rare coins is filled with possibility, excitement, and the very real chance that your financial future could change in an instant, all because you decided to examine a penny instead of spending it. So grab a magnifying glass, pull out those old coin jars, check your spare change, and start your treasure hunt today, because somewhere out there, hidden among billions of ordinary pennies, could be the one extraordinary coin that transforms your life forever. Thank you so much for watching Stracora Coins, and remember, fortune favors the observant, miracles happen to believers, and your $1 million penny might be waiting for you right now, closer than you ever imagined. Happy hunting, stay curious, and never stop searching for those hidden treasures that could make all your dreams come true.